Growing mushrooms at home is a rewarding pastime. You may have found that foraging can be frustrating as there is no way of knowing whether you will locate what you are seeking. Purchasing mushrooms is quicker than growing them. However, you never know where they have come from or whether they are fresh or not. By growing mushrooms yourself, you can manage not just the growing environment, but you can also choose which variety to grow. Importantly, there is no requirement to search the forest looking for woodsy morels when you have some in your backyard. And because you have grown it yourself, you will never need to worry if that chanterelle is a jack-o'-lantern. Growing mushrooms at home also allow you the possibility to choose any of the common medicinal mushrooms to suit your needs. So, let's begin. The variety you plan on growing depends, to an extent, on what types you prefer to eat. Typically, the species of mushroom commonly homegrown include lion's mane, shiitake, reishi, as well as wine cap. However, it is not uncommon for most novices to start with oyster mushrooms as they are simple to cultivate. And, your first experience is likely to be successful. Then, when you have the growing procedure mastered, you can concentrate on the more difficult mushroom varieties. Obtaining the mushroom spawn can be achieved by various means. There are numerous online choices, and some plant shops and specialized nurseries offer mushroom spawn. Reputable online retailers are a common choice for beginners. An advanced grower will often cultivate spawn from a spore. However, spawn cultivation is a lot harder as it requires taking a spore print from an existing mushroom. If you are a novice, it makes more sense to start with purchased spawn. Once you have obtained the mushroom spawn, you will need to select the substrate in which to grow the mushrooms. Substrate is merely a word for the material in which to develop the mushrooms. This choice depends mainly on the type that you intend to cultivate. If you're starting with the oyster mushroom, as previously suggested, you can use any of the common substrates. As a side note, the oyster variety will grow on just about anything. Typical substrates include cardboard, wood pellets, wood shavings, corn cobs, and even paper bags. Before cultivation, it is necessary to treat the substrate. Options for treating substrate include lime baths, stovetop pasteurization, as well as cold fermentation. Once you have treated the substrate, the time is right to begin growing your mushrooms. Inoculating the spawn is the technical term for this step. Inoculation can be a rather intricate procedure. It entails making use of a heated syringe to implant the spawn into the substrate. Thankfully, oyster mushrooms are a little less complicated to inoculate. Firstly, the spawn should be just moist. Secondly, mix the substrate with the spawn, scoop the mixture into bags, and spread the bags onto your growing surface. Thirdly, incubate the substrate until the containment bag turns white. Incubation involves putting the substrate mix in a warm, dark place for a period between a few weeks to a few months. Lastly, it's time to fruit and harvest the mushrooms. Cut a small slit in the bags to permit air movement and locate the bags in indirect light. Oysters can prosper in a temperature range of between 50 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 to 27 centigrade. If all proceeds well, your mushrooms will begin to fruit within a week. When the caps of the oyster mushrooms begin to squash out, it's time to harvest. Growing mushrooms yourself can be challenging but satisfying. However, by beginning gradually and by initially choosing the right variety, you can quickly graduate to more demanding species.